Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna kind of, like I said yesterday, we're gonna combine chapter 4 and chapter 5 together. We're not gonna finish them all, both of them. So we're gonna get a little bit of each one. Today, we're gonna do the first section of chapter 4 and chapter 5. And then after break, we're gonna combine 2 more sections, 4.2 and 4.3. And when we get there, you understand why. 4.2 is writing checks. Anybody ever write checks?
Nope,
Of the last 15 years of teaching this class, you're probably one of 10 that have done that, okay? So, but we will talk about the checking, because chapter 4 is checking account. We're gonna talk about it, we're gonna say something about it, we'll go with it. One of the things, does anybody have a debit card? Okay, you have a checking account. A debit card is a checking account. When they first came out with debit cards in the mid-80s or so, I remember the first ads. You know, the commercials would be some guy goes into a restaurant and goes up to pay for his meal, and so we don't take checks. And the ad was paperless checks. That's what a debit card is. It's a check that's without paper. So if you have a debit card, you have a checking account. Okay, if you look at any people that still use checking account, put your cell phones up. If you look at any people that actually still use checks, write checks, if you go and you're standing behind them in the aisle at Walmart, Walmart takes the checks and they run it through a machine. It's a check that they're running through like a debit card, and they treat it like a debit card. In fact, they'll give you your check back when they're done because they don't need it. We'll talk about this after break, but at the bottom of a check is all the information you need to steal somebody's identity, steal their bank. So if you ever get one of those things online, says, I'm an Ethiopian prince, send me a check. I don't want a money order, send me a check. The reason they want your check is they can steal your money.
What?
So the routing number and the account number, everything is on the bottom of a check, and you don't send a check to somebody you don't trust.
So don't send no money to the people out of the country.
Definitely. Don't send it to people out of, that's what, buy a money order, okay? They can't steal your money that way. So the first part of checking accounts is, well, we're gonna talk about, we'll back up for a half a second. Your money is out there, you need to have some, I jokingly said, put it in a coffee can under your bed. You don't get any interest that way. But when you're talking finances, there are 2 terms that you are trying to decide what way you want to go. Okay, the 2 opposites when you're talking money is, one is interest. Your money goes into a bank, it goes into whatever, and it makes money for you. You don't do anything, just put it there and it draws interest. The other end of the scale is fluidity. I can get my money whenever I want. I can use it whenever I want. I don't have to go to a building and get it out of there. I just have it. I use it. These are 2 opposite polar opposites when you're talking money. Fluidity, 100% fluidity. I have my money in a coffee can. I can get it out whenever I need. I just grab it and go. Interest, I can build up interest. I can get it. Problem is, you can't get interest if you got fluidity. Okay. Checking accounts are other than coffee cans. So we put a coffee can right here as a fluidest amount of thing you can get. I can get it immediately. The next one up in fluidity would be debit or checking account, which is what we're talking about now. Because you can have it, you can access it. You got it on a card. Most people have it in your pocket, billfold, purse, whatever you're going to carry. You can spend it whenever you need. We hope you got money on it when you do it. And it can get you in trouble. My daughter is probably the best financial person in the world. That girl can get money from anything. I mean, she can not steal it. I mean, she can organize her bills. She can do it all. But when she first got her first job while she's still in high school, this is before the days of debit card. She had a credit card, which is almost the same thing. It's the same uses. She got her first credit card in the mail and got her first bill a month later, and she had racked up $200 worth of bills of expenses. we're gonna buy this stuff. Because plastic is so easy to use, you pull it out and you use it without thinking about it. You're driving down the road, you see a Sonic there, I really need a drink, pull into the Sonic, whip out your car and use it. What's the joke everybody says on TV, says, you know, the daughter's at college, I've got to get a pizza. The emergency plastic my dad gave me, it's an emergency, I need a pizza. You use it without thinking about it, so watch TV enough and you see it. But fluid checking is the same way. You can get your money, you don't have to have it with you. You pull out the plastic and you use it. But you don't earn much interest. In fact, when I was your age, you had a checking account. You didn't get any interest on a checking account. Whenever you wrote a check, you would actually have to pay 15 cents per check every time you wrote one. And then around the late 70s, early 80s, they started paying you interest on the check. Now, a lot of checking account, you can get 0.5%, 1% interest on your account for what's in the account. Then you have, what we're going to talk about, kind of co-talk about this, is savings. Savings is less able to get to the money. I put it in a building. I have available to it, but if you read the fine print on most savings accounts, you're only allowed to draw the money out a couple times a month. If you start drawing it out more, in fact, we bank at USA in San Antonio. It's a military bank I've had for 40 years. But if you have a savings account, if you take the money out, if you draw more than 3 times a month, they said, you're treating it like a checking account, we're going to convert it to a checking account. But your interest rate goes from 2.5% down to 0.5%. Okay, so savings, you cannot use it as often. You don't have as much access to it. But they do pay you a little bit more interest. When I was, Mr. Thomas and I were talking the other day, when I was in high school, right around Jimmy Carter administration, you could get 10% interest on a savings account. Now you're lucky to get 2%. Guys, wait another 6 months to a year, we may be back up there. You know, you never know. So interest changes. The next one that we really are not going to get much to talk about, and I apologize, we just don't have the time, is what is called a CD. Certificate of deposit, not CD as in a little round circular thing that you guys probably, I hope you guys still know what they are. But CD, certificate of deposit, is this says you get more interest than the other ones because you put your money in there and you literally cannot touch that money for however long the term is, 6 months, 3 months, a year, whatever. In fact, if you take a $1,500 CD and you buy it and you say 6 months and about 4.5 months into it, you've got a critical emergency and you need the money and you go to the bank to get the CD out, you're not getting $1,500 back, guys. They will keep all the interest you developed plus a penalty to give you back. So you may be lucky to get $1,450, $1,400 back of the original 15. They charge you a penalty. So CDs they're going to keep your money. So make sure you don't need it before you give it to them, but you can get a lot of interest. Okay. So all these are there's dozens more. This is just what we talk about. Section 4.1 and 5.1 also. We both talk about deposits. What is a deposit? Out to the crowd. What's a deposit? You give it to the bank. You give it to whatever you're putting it so they can have it. Okay. Direct deposit. You never see cash.
No, direct deposit comes to your bank account usually faster than that.
Yes, normally faster. Now this happened my first or second year here. I had just converted to direct deposit my first year here. And we showed up to work on payday. And there's emails in everybody's inbox. The computers crashed like that. Nobody got paid.
What?
And it's like, well, we're going to get the money, but the money was not direct deposited. So the front office up there, they were sending out letters to all the banks. They were calling the banks. They were cutting paper checks, running them to the banks because some people have automatic payments come out of their accounts, and there's no money to pay it. And they're saying it's our fault. Don't bounce the checks. So it happens. Computers crash, but I mean, computers crash when I print up a paycheck too. So understand, there's good and bad from both. But direct deposit, like you said, Normally faster, normally, in fact, I get my check direct deposit the day before payday. USA Bank, good job. But I mean, you never see the money. If you're one of those that like to feel the money, you just gotta go to the bank and draw it out. ATM, is anybody here who's never used an ATM? You don't like ATMs?
No. Like every time I take a feed, it's just one.
You got to go to the bank that's part of your,
Well, so that's the thing with like teenagers, we don't have, without, if you don't have a parent that's willing to set up you a checking account for yourself, because that's what teens can have, well, then you can't go to like, you're kind of useless going to a bank. So then you gotta go to an ATM to pull out cash. Why am I gonna pull out cash and charge myself $5?
well, it depends on what bank is the ATM on? Is a debit card?
Oh, like, so everybody uses Cash App, just about, right?
Okay, so it's not a bank?
No, and even at work, like my Money Network card, it's not an actual bank.
Yeah.
It's just an app on your phone. So you're going
Ask
to
your
an
boss,
ATM.
and I'm not saying you can get it. I'm still wondering a lot of stuff. Ask your boss, is there a bank we bank on?
Well, that's what they tell you, the Money Network is the bank that they use.
Well, I mean, is there a local bank? My wife's got a Bluebird card, which is Walmart. And she'll put money on that. It's like a, whatever. It's like a debit card, but she puts money on the Bluebird card. And there's actually a bank in Chickasha. I'm not gonna go up there to get the money out, but there's a bank up in Chickasha that you go, they do not charge fees.
It's just,
And I think we just found another one here in Lawton that does the same thing. The American Bank or whatever on Sharon Road, doesn't charge fees.
there's some banks that don't charge fees if you like to bank with them, but like if I don't bank with somebody, then I have to pay a fee.
And I
and they
understand,
close.
but again, we're not gonna talk about this today, but yeah. No, I'm not saying don't. I mean, just there's actually a section that talks about service charges and stuff. But part of it is, anybody been to the Rattlesnake Roundup?
What?
The Rattlesnake Roundup in
No.
Apache and stuff? Yeah, Rattlesnake Festival,
I've
Rattlesnake.
never heard around it.
Well, that's what they used to call it when I was young.
Okay.
But Rattlesnake, where you go up there, but what they do is they bring up an ATM. And
Oh, yeah.
Service charges. Somebody from here went up there a couple years ago and they said when they popped it in, it popped up, says service, they were gonna charge $25. Service charge.
That's
Like, you check the service charges, guys, before you do that.
Cool 2 meals from there.
Yeah, it's gonna get, all right, so ATM, I remember the first ones came out, it was a box. And a drawer would pop out and you put deposits in there, but you couldn't get anything out. And then when I was in the Army, the sergeant major I worked with, he actually we were in Texas and he had gone up to Boston to visit his ex-wife's family. And he popped in the ATM, the car, and his name, he was just total jazz. Wow, my name popped up on the screen. I'm in Texas and here I'm in Boston and my name popped. They know who I am. So, I mean, guys, technology is wonderful, but ATMs are great. They have drawbacks, but they are great.
That was mind-blowing.
Anybody know what PIN number stood for? What is it? What is the PIN number used for?
For any secure account, they tell you, you need to make a PIN. Usually you don't make the same PIN and they tell you to change it every so often.
Yeah.
Because somebody can get hold of your PIN and now they have all your info.
Yes.
Because if I
And it's
call
also,
right now-
it's a signature for electronic signature, because you can't really sign for most. Okay, so now we're already talking about that. We'll go through these. Some of my chapter that. Now, the formula for 5.1 and 4.1, the one we're using today, is the same. Total deposit is, what's currency?
money, any way of payment.
Specific currency. Because you got currency coins and checks, so there's gotta be a difference. What's currency?
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
like,
like,
I mean, that,
like, where are
it
we
wasn't
going
meant
with
to
this?
so what denominations do we have out there? Currency. Okay. My 7-year-old, he was 6 at the time, my wife sat down, homeschooling him. Who's on the face of each one of these bills? Okay,
I couldn't even.
anybody ever seen a $2 bill?
Yeah, I still have one.
No. Get
I
out
haven't
of
seen
here.
a $2 bill, I haven't seen a $2 bill in 10 years.
For real?
I used to have a $2 silver certificate, which was money they printed back in the 1930s.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I have since lost it.
My friend.
But these are the common, I teach forensics also, and I've actually got a website I do every once in a blue moon about money out there, and they actually have $1 million bills. Common circulation, they stop at $100 bill. It's on purpose for drugs. They want to make sure a drug dealer can't just have one bill in their pocket. So they want to make sure you got $100 bills as big as they go. But there are bigger bills, but we don't use them in common circulation. Okay? These are the currencies. Now, you notice the way these are written over there? Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with $1 million bill. I mean, yeah, I'd spend it, but. Okay, so.
Somebody comes into a store, do you have change for, no, I don't. I don't even have
I don't
that
have
much
change
in my
for-
own cash register.
Why didn't we send everybody Mr. Big? Currency is paper, coins are metal money. Now you can have dollar coins. Understand, a dollar is both currency and coins, depending on what it is. And checks are money orders and checks. When you're depositing. Now the term that you need, and this is often said less cash received. When you go up to a bank, and I don't do this. I read the book. I know what the book says about this, and I'll tell you what this said. For math purposes, we're going to do it. You go up to the bank, you got some money in your pocket, coins, checks, whatever, but you need a roll of quarters to go and do laundry. So you go up to the bank and you give them all the money, plop, and they separate them out. In the old days, we had to do it. I think they do it now for you. But they separate currency, coins, checks. They fill out the form. And then you say, I would like $10 back. Okay? So of the money I gave you, give me $10 back in quarters. The deposit is after you get the $10 back. So even though I give them all this money, they're only depositing the stuff that they keep. I keep the other $10. So you gotta keep, that's called less cash. Oh, right here. What is it?
Oh, frosted lemonade. Sounds so good.
Frosted lemonade.
Yeah, from Chick-fil-A. Sounds good.
I never had one. I like their sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. Be hungry.
Okay, question number one. And this is, again, checking and savings and deposit, basically what it's saying. They may have different forms. On the back page, you'll see a deposit form for a savings account. Okay, and then on the page 2, you'll see a deposit form for a checking account. So the deposit slips are different. Sometimes you go in a bank, the only difference you can see is one says savings, one says, but they fill out the forms most of the time these days. In my day, you used to have it. They'd have a table out in the middle of the lobby when you walked in. You had to choose the right form and fill it out before you go over. Anybody remember the movie It's a Wonderful Life? Jimmy Stewart Christmas movie?
No. I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
Okay, but the whole point at the end of the movie, the brother-in-law, the uncle, whatever, goes into the bank and he fills out the form and he leaves the money on the counter and goes up and gives the form. That's what they used to have. They had a table where you get the forms. Now you just go up to the teller and they do it for you. Yes.
Oh, okay, bank first or in at cash, they still have those tables that you have to go up to before you go up to the counter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
if
good.
you're like, you have to write your deposit, your slips, wherever, right there, and then you go up there.
That's good. I'm glad.
I don't, you know,
You don't like it? If they have a calculator attached to it, okay. So question number one, Emily Anderson's deposit includes 3 checks.
What, 3?
3 checks. 2 checks. I bought,
I was like,
sunlight bright. My arm's not long enough sometimes. I can read perfectly with my glasses off, but with my glasses on, it's kind of bring my, and I hate bifocals. I've got bifocals, but then I can never get it right.
look at that black focus. It's bad.
The second check is 987.67. And then 9 $1 bills. For where, well, how much? I mean,
$9.
$9, yay! 9 $5 bills, 45. 8 $10 bills, $80, there you go. And on the calculators, guys, there are parentheses on each one of them. So if you want to do this, what you can do is, you can do open parentheses, 8 times 10, close parentheses, plus open parentheses. So you can do it, but be careful, because if you get one number wrong, the whole thing's messed up. So you can do it with scratch paper, or you can do it on the calculator, your choice. Then we have 14 quarters.
$3.
There you go. I heard you say $3.50. I'm getting ready to write that. We have 25 dimes. Now on the dimes, guys, in your head, 10 dimes is $1. You got 20, so that's $2.50, right? All right, 18 nickels.
90 cents.
There you go. There are 20 nickels per dollar. You're too short. So what's 2 nickels short of $1?
10 cents.
There you go. 64 pennies. Now that's your total, what you go to the bank with. And then you want $40 cash back.
That's all.
Wow.
It doesn't say why you want it. Maybe you want to go to lunch, I don't know.
Well, then just-
All right, so what you're gonna do is, you add, and I'm not gonna do it, I've done it 100 million times, and I gotta sit up here and calculate. Add all this up, you get a what's called a subtotal.
It's about $102.
So close, closer to 1,300, 13, I think the final answer is 1,320, off the top of my head.
13?
1,320 something, I think.
Oh, okay, so we're adding the 2,000.
You gotta add the checks
We're
too.
adding the 200 and the 900.
Yeah, you gotta add the checks too. So add them all up, you get a subtotal. Subtract the $40 from the subtotal, and you will get a total. The total is what I'm looking for. And again, off the top of my head,
Yes, Emily, what she deposited to for checks.
but I mean, checks are great. Now, FYI on the checks, be careful when you deposit checks. A lot of banks will not let you touch that money for, used to be 10 days. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, they have a waiting.
It's a waiting period when you deposit checks. Also, I'm speaking from firsthand information. My wife used to sell books. She sold books, but she wrote them and sold them. Some lady from Canada mailed her a check to buy money. Problem is, if you accept a Canadian check, it's not worth an American check.
It's 1360.3.
That's before that subtotal,
That's subtotal, yes.
0.30.
Yes.
So subtract 40 is 1320, 30. And again, check the numbers, guys. I'm sure he's got it right, but I'm not gonna say that this is correct. I'm just saying it looks right. It's just this in the ballpark. But checks and checks. If you get if you get a check from out of the country, it's not worth an American check. What? Canadian check, if you get a check from a Canadian bank, $50 check's only worth like $45 in America.
So $50
A
check.
$50 check from Canada is only worth like 45. And again, they change from day to day, so I don't know.
So if they accept a check from here, is it more there?
Yeah. They get paid $15 an hour any job. That's just starting wage for them. Ours is still $7.25. In Canada,
Oh.
they get paid 15 to 20.
Yeah, but they're $15 an hour, not our $15 an hour. Okay.
I know a couple of our states get paid a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not every-
One more thing and then we'll go. I'll let you guys get going. Question, that's number one. Question number, let's do question number 4. I always do 3. Let's do question number 4. Question number 3, these are only 2 algebra I got, I think. I think they're only 2 algebra.
So
Okay.
we don't round it up.
Larry McCray, let's look at question number 4. Larry McCoy deposited 3 checks So we don't know what they are, but we're gonna figure them out. 3 checks. He went to the bank with 3 checks. Plop. Okay. He remembers that one of the checks was twice the amount of the small. So smallest check, algebra, we're just call it X. And it doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm just gonna go with in order. One of the checks is twice the amount. So what is twice X? 2X. And the largest check was equal to the amount of the sum of, when you say sum, what am I saying? Add, total, yes. So what's X plus 2X? 3X. So these are my 3 checks. Add them up. My total amount of checks I went to the bank with was 6X. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2. Okay, if Larry received $50 cash and had a total deposit, so I went to the bank, and I'm going to reuse the X for a second. I went to the bank. I got $50 cash back, and they put in $355 after I got my $50 back. So, how much did I go to the bank with? How do I,
$5.
what?
$405.
$405. Add 50 to both sides. So, my 6 checks is equal to $405. Solve for X, and then make the adjustments. Check 1, check 2, check 3. And you don't have to use X, guys. Just don't use like S or D or something that could make you confused. If you guys got questions, I will answer any individual questions you have. That's it for a break. And we'll probably go a little bit into the afterward. Okay?
I would just solve for X.
Hey, the rest of them.